Welcome back to another episode of Midnight Oil Motorsports. My name's Ian, and thanks for tuning in. If it's your first time coming to the channel, well, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Maybe you'll watch the video. Today we're working on my 1991 Mazda Miata. I've had this car for a long time, and turning it into a race car. Hope you follow along for the journey. Anyways, what are we doing today? Today, we are making sure that the front wheels are going to fit. How are we going to do that? Well, pretty much the similar way that I did the rears here. The rears, I took out the strut, or coilover, jacked the suspension all the way up, and made sure when I'm rotating the wheel that it wasn't going to hit anywhere. The front is a little bit different because, well, front wheels turn, right? Got to make sure all that works. If it works with the suspension at full compression without a strut in it, then it's definitely going to be okay when there is a strut in it, right? That's the thinking anyways. So how are we going to do this? Check out the car, take out the strut like I said, put the wheel back on, and just start playing around with it. First, we're going to take the fender, or keep the fenders off, because we want to make sure it doesn't contact the apron, which is the name for the structural piece that's behind the fender here. You can see the black section. And as long as that's okay, then we got to make sure it doesn't contact the intercooler piping or the barrel of the wheel doesn't contact the upper or lower control arm. And make sure it's like that on both sides. Make sure that the brake lines are okay, and then from there, it's just arts and crafts with the fender, because I can already tell you for a fact, these wheels are definitely going to smack the fender. And I could have told you that for free, even from the video that we took and tested the wheels on for the first time. So, let's get started. So, I forgot to address the elephant in the room here. Look how clean I made the windshield. So clean you can barely see it, right? Well, no. I'm sure some of you noticed by now. It's gone. Why is it gone? Well, I thought it'd be a good idea to try to make a video about pulling a windshield, and thought, you know, the windshield's already a little cracked, so if something goes wrong and I crack it, well, it's not gonna be that bad, right? Well, that happened. And I had a professional do it. So it was a lesson in knowing your limits and understanding that sometimes it's better left to professionals. So, lesson learned. Okay, so I screwed up a little bit. I just recorded everything, not realizing that my sway bar was going right back into the pocket where it was. So that means I was getting the strut from that side compressing, then using that to lift this side of the car. Or compressing, wait. Other way around. Spring pressure from there was then keeping this side from moving any, even though it's got no strut in it. And yeah, anyways, so here's where we're at. Now with the fender off, so you guys can see, man, that was kind of a waste of time, but oh well. Here's what we got. We're looking at this all here. About a finger's worth of clearance up here. That's pretty tight. I'm to the point right now where it's just about to lift up the car. Now before, I was just barely missing this tab, right? So if we scooch, it's kind of hard because I do have a jack underneath this. Rats. Don't have to do it this way, but I think I'm gonna have to. Yeah, let me turn the wheel. Well, let me try this. Okay. So far, so good. Hitting on anything yet? Not quite yet. That's one full turn. The squeaking you're hearing is I have wood in between the jack and the tire. So, oops daisies, right now, we are just barely, but we are all clear. Just like we were before. I can only get about another quarter turn on there. Now I think I'm contacting. Yep, same deal. I'm contacting the upper control arm because it is now further compressed. So same deal here, pretty much, crazily enough, same deal that I had on when I didn't have it up high enough. Let's go back the other way here. Recheck my wood. Let's see if I hit that front bumper. Yep, bingo. But not by all that much. Let me move you around here. So again, this is at full compression with no strut in there. I'm just barely nicking the corner of this bumper, right? Could pull this bumper a little further this way, not have that issue. Let's see here, if I keep it there, then what happens? That's one full turn. And again, I'm contacting something. I'm not sure what. Let me look around here. Okay. What am I contacting? I actually don't know what I'm contacting. Ah, okay. I am contacting the inside of the apron. And then that is at one full turn of the wheel, right? Yes, actually exactly one full turn of the wheel. So I'm not too worried about that. It could be a whole lot worse. Same solution as before, except I need a little bit more. I'm just gonna use some steering rack spacers so that I don't end up smacking the wheel on the apron, because that'd be kind of bad. But this whole deal right here, completely fixable. Not that big of a deal. So, pretty excited about that. I'll turn the wheel back straight here. Just want to catch on that bumper, right? That bumper is completely fine. So, really it's more so just how much this bumper do I want to take off. What I'm probably going to end up doing here, let me bring it down to the bumper's level. I'll probably just take this body line here, and I'll just follow it up and slice off all that. If I slice all that off, and also this part on the inside, guarantee I'm gonna have enough room here, because it is not that, it's only hitting right here, right? So if I take off all of that, it's gonna be perfect. Phenomenal, actually, which is gonna be great. Great to know. Or the other thing I could do is I could now space this out this way, which would work. I have to remake this bracket, which is fine. Again, it was temporary anyways, but it won't look right. So I'm not doing that. So chopping it. Okay, cut off those tabs. Let's get to it. Try this again. Y'all let me know what's gonna happen over there, so I can't tell you. Really? Oh. Talk to me. What's going on? Okay, we're contacting the lip here. So really, uh-oh, am I hitting the door? No, I'm not hitting the door. Okay, let's go back to it. Let's see how high I need to go here. Oh, we're lifting the car. Oh, we're lifting the car a lot. Just barely starting to lift the car now. Okay. So what does this mean here? What do I have to do to make this look relatively normal here? Well, I could space the back of the fender out. I could cut this so I don't have to space it out as much. And I have just a solution for this actually, if you want to give me a hot second here. Well, I thought I had the solution. I was going to try those. Those are just some universal fender flares, and by universal, air quotes around that because no body parts are universal. I think those are for a Honda Civic. Tried fitting them up on this fender, and body line is not even close to matching up. So a couple options I have here, and I won't be able to finish this video right now. I'm already coming to this conclusion. Either space out the back of the fender, right, because that'll bring this whole thing out, right? That makes it look pretty ridiculous here, and still does not, you know, solve the problem of up there. Then we have the other solution of chopping this whole thing out, rolling it and then pulling it, which would work, but I don't have a roller, so that's kind of shooting myself in the foot there. Or we do a combination of buying just some cheap flares that are for a Miata and putting them on the fronts and seeing how that works, in combination with moving that out a little bit. I think that's what I'll end up doing here, because this isn't going to work, unfortunately, which sucks. But when you're doing stuff that has never been done before, or not has never been done before, what stuff that isn't commonly done, you run into problems like this. So yeah, rats. Oh well, probably time for me to call it night anyway, so I'll pick up on this whenever those flares come in the mail. So stay tuned, I guess. I don't know. Okay, back in the garage. The last clip you saw was about a month ago, because those flares took forever to come in. I was busy, and just overall just a crazy past couple weeks. But we're back out here. We're gonna get these to fit, because I need to get this off the quick jacks. Just need to work on my wife's car. Anyways, we're gonna try to use these flares, end up cutting out some of the wheel arch, testing it up the same way we did the rears with Cleco pins, and spacing the fender out just a little bit here. So gotta get the bumper back on, jack up the wheel, and let's see if we can get those tests fitted. That, and we also got some steering rack limiters, and what that does is it's going to limit the amount of travel the rack can go inside, so I do not hit the intercooler pipe. So let's get to it. Next clip you see, I'll get everything back to how I had it. Nice. Okay, so we got the fender on, bumper on, door on, and we got this little jobber of a flare. Not the biggest fan of these, don't really like how they look, but it's what I got. Because anything else that I thought looked good was like $300 to $400 for the set, and I'd only be using 2 flares, and I'm definitely not paying for that. So we just kind of have some generic, well, I say generic, but this is actually meant for a Miata, as opposed to those other flares just being universal. And as you can see, it kind of fits a little funny. So what you gotta do, you gotta take it and you gotta squeeze it. Kind of sucks, but I don't know if that's from it being old or through shipping or cheap plastic or cheap mold, but yeah, it's not bad. Fitment's not too bad. I wish I could just tape it and leave it here and then be able to outline it, but I can't do that. I need to I'm gonna figure out how to Cleco pin this thing in place and then do this, because and then, you know, do the other holes too and then trace it. So I'm gonna have to be drilling some holes here. Not really too happy about it, but in order to get this to actually stay where I want it to stay, that's what I need to do. So yep, you'll see me do that and struggle a little bit, so stay tuned. All right, so it's on there with Cleco pins, my favorite tool. And fitment is junk. I mean, look at this gap here. Holy Toledo. We're gonna need to run something down here, probably like a weather strip or something, but also these Cleco pins do have a little bit of space in between them, and this will push further in once you get like an actual rivet or riv nut and bolt in here. So other than that, like, this is as good as gonna get right now. What does this mean? Well, if we look here above our wheel, we can no longer see our tire, which is good. We see it a little bit in front here, which is as to be expected. That's, yeah, but hopefully the suspension does not go that high. Right now I have it about like where it would be sitting static, just to make sure it didn't look all crazy and stupid and dumb, and it doesn't. So yeah, from the top of the wheel here, what's going to tuck behind the fender is not visible, which is great, because that means that this will be wide enough, just barely, but it will be wide enough to have this tucked behind here. So what's the next step? Well, we still have the inside of the fender, the stock fender, in there. So we gotta get it out of there. Gonna use a combination of tools. Actually, probably gonna use a body saw, because it's the easiest thing to do. So what we want to do is we're gonna trace along here so we know how high the fender flare sits, and then from there measure about an inch down or so. And we have all the holes already drilled, so it'll be pretty easy to see, but measure about an inch or so down, and then make another line following this line just an inch further down, so that we have enough space and enough meat on the fender to be able to affix our riv nuts and bolts. So time to commit. Luckily, fenders are cheap and easy to replace. So if I screw this up, I just do it again. Quarter panels are not cheap and not easy to replace. So that was way more stressful. That is a $650 mistake plus time, which some people don't value their time. I do. But I did that well. I'm happy about that. This though, if I screw this up, you can buy a fender for like 80 bucks. Still kind of bites, but 80 bucks is fine. Some of you may be wondering what's going on right here, and not gonna lie, I don't know either. So what I'm gonna end up doing is just chopping that, because I think it looks dumb. Even if we had the bumper all the way out here, I still think it looks dumb. So, sound good? Let's time lapse it. All right, we got a really nice cut here. Really clean. Shout out to the body saw I got from Harbor Freight that was open box for $5, and the blades that were also about $5. Actually cuts really well. This didn't even grind this down, and like it's nice and soft, which is great. So we got all this cut off down to about there. We may need to cut this lip off as well, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So let's get the flare on. Let's get this wheel jacked up, and we'll see what happens. All right, we're jacked up. We got our wheel in there. We have about a finger's worth of gap here in between the flare and the tire. I can already tell you that when I turn the wheel, it's gonna end up hitting this and hitting here. But the fender is sitting flat up against the door. And if I push this just a little bit, flat up against the bumper. So, really, this could be very easily remedied if I just take the fender and push it out just a little bit. Doesn't need to be a whole lot, just a little bit. So, right now, keep it where it needs to be. But what I'm thinking here is that, well, yes, we are going to contact that flare. I'm also thinking that's going to hit that fender a lot less. 'Cause before I couldn't even move the wheel. Now, okay. Oh, it just popped out from where it was at. But not because it's hitting the fender. In fact, we're not hitting at all. Push this back to where it needs to go here. Okay. And now I believe I'm hitting the oh, not quite yet. I thought I was hitting the intercooler piping. I'm not doing that yet. Now I am. Okay. Right? Yes. Yes, I am. Okay, perfect. So that's good. Well, it's good that I have enough rotation to do that. That doesn't hit. Oh my God, that's close. That is close. And that should be upper control arm. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's upper control arm. So, with these flares, we fit. Wow, that's incredible. Okay, now what's next? Well, in order to keep the steering wheel from, like, if I get snapped one way and then the steering wheel gets ripped from my hands and decides I want to spin all the way around, what am I going to do to prevent the steering wheel from just smacking the bodywork or smacking the intercooler piping or smacking the upper control arm and completely destroying this wheel? These wheels are expensive. I'd rather not do that. Well, quite simply, we have a product, 804-842, for a 9704 Mustang steering rack limiters. Now, what do these do? On your inner tie rod, these doodads are shaped like horseshoes, right? So just clip on there. You take the boot off, and then you clip these around, and then let's turn the wheel and see where it's at. All right, you can stack as many of these as you want on there. Yes, these are just plastic. You can get metal ones, but I think for all intents and purposes, these are going to work. So, and also apparently most Miata guys do actually use the Mustang stuff, because the Mustang steering rack, the inner tie rod is the same or relatively close thickness to a Miata. So this kit comes with 6. I don't know how many I'm gonna need for one side. One side could need 2, it could need 4, it could need all 6, I don't know. So if I put these on, I don't have enough, then I need to buy more, or I mean more realistically, I should really just find a metal or aluminum piece to be able to fit on the inner tie rod to be a better fit than just this. But this is great because it works for testing purposes, and I think a pack of these was like $9. So instead of trying to figure out and find what spacer I need or trying to measure and cut everything else, this is $9. And for a temporary solution like these will work very easily. So I'm gonna get these in here. I'll show you quick how to do it if I can shove the camera up underneath the car, and yeah, we'll get to it. And then hopefully we don't smack the intercooler piping. The only thing, if I put them on this side, the only thing that's gonna stop is me going to the right. And in order to stop it going left and hitting the upper control arm, I need to put them on the left. But I also need, on the other side, to make sure it prevents hitting that intercooler piping and that upper control arm. And it's going to need probably, or most likely, the same amount of spacers I need on this side. So, again, I might need another pack of this. I truly do not know yet, so let's get into it. Okay, so here's what we got. Here is your your tie rod boot, right? Goes from your steering rack to your outer tie rod. And we're going to need to take, and these are the OEM clamps that actually come from Mazda, I believe. These are just wire, so you just undo this wire here. That's been done about 1 million times. I don't remember what direction it is, right? We can untwist it, get that out of there. We can sneak this boot off of here. Okay, see it's all greased up in there. That's all good from when I rebuilt this rack. I just take one of these jobbers, right, and sneak it over here. Click. See? Now it's on there. And now I am limited in one direction. So I'm going to experiment and just see what I need to do here in order to keep it from hitting the intercooler piping that is over here. So yeah. So now you can see at steering lock, right, with the spacers in. Oops. I have 2 fingers worth of space in between the intercooler piping and the wheel at full lock to the left. Now in order to stop it going from the right, I need to go to the other side and put some spacers on. Now I've already done that off camera, but really what you do is see how many you need to prevent it from hitting the upper control arm, right? And the way that I did that, actually you can see it if you look in the, whoops-a-daisies, there you go. In the strut hole right there, I will turn the wheel all the way to the left here. There we go. We've got about, you can see it right up in the top corner, right about there. So from there, it's kind of hard to see, but we do have about a finger's worth of room. And now it means at a unrealistic scenario here, which is the wheel jacked all the way up with no suspension holding it in, right? We've got the coilover out, the sway bar out. So the only thing controlling up and down right now is the jack, right? So theoretically, if all that stuff was taken out of the equation here, and suspension were to go to max height, these wheels fit. Which means that when the car is either turning under load or turning or static or just cruising on the street or hits a big old pothole, this wheel shouldn't rub at all, which is insane. 285/75, ooh, geez, 285/75, 285/30/15 on the front of a Miata. Yes, I needed to cut it up, but I think that was to be expected. I highly doubt you can fit a 285/30/15. I would love to see someone prove me wrong. I think that'd be hilarious. I'd love to see it. But with my skill set and what I want the car to look like, I did kind of want a flare to it. So this isn't too bad of an option here. This is a pretty mild flare, all things considered. It's only, I believe, a 30mm flare. So it's not even really that big. So yeah, you can see that the fender is a little bit far pushed out here because of it's not bolted right here, right? But even when I was having this pushed in all the way, this still fit. So it's incredible. I think I'm going to have this just for safety, and God forbid something happens, or I don't want to just absolutely smack the bodywork and then rip this off. This is fiberglass, or not fiberglass, this is ABS plastic, so like it is flexible, which is nice. Fiberglass, it would just crack and break and go hasta la bye-bye. But this is plastic, so if it hits it, it's actually gonna bend quite a bit here, or rip. So anyways, yeah. I'm gonna get the coilover back in here. I'm going to put this back on the ground, and then I'm gonna make sure that we're still good on the ground here, because that to me is the huge win. So, and then I get to strip this fender, prime it, and everything else. Other than that, I gotta cut the other side, right? I gotta cut a little bit on the bumper, which I've already been over, and I need to cut a little bit on the other side of the bumper as well, and then strip another couple things. But other than that, this should be the last cutting that I need to do before it's ready for paint. After that's just stripping everything, right? There's not much more to strip, which is, I'm excited. But that's a lot of blocking, and not excited for that, because it's all primer. It's gotta be blocked. Otherwise, paint's gonna come out not so great. So, anyways, I'm gonna get all the suspension back in here, get this back on the ground, and yeah, we'll do what we gotta do. Okay, so here we go. On the ground. 285s on the front of a Miata. Yes, with a flare. No, I don't think you do it any other way. You can try. I love to see someone try. But this looks really ridiculous because this flare is just being ridiculous because it's plastic. But you know, it is what it is. I can, like I said, I'm just gonna chop that off. The bumper is gonna be quick release anyway, so I'd rather not have the flare in the way, because I have to take the flare off to take the bumper off, and that's not very quick to release it. So anyways, yeah, here we are. Very cool. Very, very cool. Still very ridiculous in the front. Still very ridiculous from the top. Yeah, so very cool. Very cool to see. Yes, it's just one side. The other side, still got to do, but it's the entire process the same, just on the other side. I might just time lapse it and put in this video if somebody wants to watch it. That's cool, because I think it's cool. But you know. Okay, so we have the flare on this side, right? We already went over that. You guys just watched me partially put the flare on this side because the GoPro died. And I assume that you probably didn't want to watch me just move the wheel up and down a whole bunch, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I guess it's really not that crazy of a recipe to get the 285s that fit on front. I've got 3 of the steering rack spacers on each side to prevent hitting the upper control arm, and then also to prevent hitting the intercooler piping. I guess if you were NA, you wouldn't have to worry about that, but if you were NA, you probably would not be running 285s. A 245 square is plenty for a Miata that probably makes about 130 horsepower. But anyways, yeah, so the only other thing I might need to cut, and I'm considering it, and maybe you guys can toss down in the comments what your opinion is about it. So I'm considering just chopping this down here, right at the body line, getting rid of this, including the flare, and then pulling this back about ½ an inch because it would help extract air and back, and also it would give me just a little bit more clearance because this right here is pretty tight. It doesn't hit at full compression, but it, you know, just give me a little bit more insurance here. So that's just what I'm considering. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Maybe I keep it and just pull this whole thing, you know, and do something like that. But there's a little bracket that's back there, and I can literally just make a bracket to put this or push this back, you know, about ½ an inch to an inch, or maybe even make a threaded rod to where now it's variable and I can do whatever I want with it. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this video. If you have any questions, I guess just throw it down in the comments too, but I'm pretty sure I went over it pretty well in this video, but I always miss something. I'm not very good at explaining stuff, and maybe some footage got deleted or corrupted or whatever because GoPro life. But anyways, guess we're just gonna call it. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you didn't like the video, give it a dislike. If you really liked the video, consider subscribing, because I really enjoy when I get subscribers. In fact, it really makes me excited. At the point of recording this, I think I've got about 20 subscribers, and I appreciate each and every one of you, because really motivates me to keep coming out and doing this. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Just remember that no one's gonna work on your car unless you do, or I guess if you pay somebody else to do it. But where's the fun in that, right? I like driving, but I also like working on my cars. So thanks again. Have a great night, or great morning, or great whatever time it is around you. Later.